Your learning target for lesson 5 is I can count by units of 7 to multiply and divide. So it's a lot like yesterday's lesson, but we're going to be using our 7 facts instead of our 6s. So you can still use those strategies that we talked about in the lesson 6, where if you multiply by 4, if you multiply by 6, or if you multiply by 8, you can just use that double strategy that I went over from lesson 6. So the first part of this concept development is we're just going to practice some multiplication and division equations for our 7s facts. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to skip count by 7. If you notice, I only have 4 different problems for this. So we're just going to skip count by 7 4 times, and then we're going to fill in the multiplication and division equations that would go with that count by. So if I'm starting at 7, I want you to write on your board what number would I come to next if I was skip counting by 7s. Push pause when you do that. If I'm skip counting by 7s, I'm going to have 14 next. I already put 21. That comes after 14. So I want you to write on your board what's going to come after 21 if I'm skip counting by 7s. Push pause in order to do this. If I'm skip counting by 7s, I will have 28 that comes after 21. So we're going to go back up here to the top, and we're just going to work straight across. Remember, division and multiplication are related, so in your multiplication and division equations, you're going to have the same numbers. So 7 times what equals 7? 1. That one's starting with the easiest one. So what divided by 7 equals what? So you have to ask yourself, what am I skip counting by? 7s. So 7 divided by 7, the way you figure this out is you ask yourself, what can you multiply 7 by to get 7? And all you have to do is look right over here at the multiplication equation to figure that out. Right here we multiplied 7 by 1 to get 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. This division equation is the same thing as saying I have 7 groups with 1 in each group. So how many groups did we have? And we had 7. Okay, so if I'm skip counting and I get to 14, 7 times what equals 14? That's what's going to go in this blank. So on your board, I want you to write, what do you need to multiply 7 by to get 14? Push pause to do that. So 7 times 2 will give us 14. So if we're writing the related division equation, we've talked about what comes first in our division equation, and I already have the number 7. So once you have that number written in the beginning of the division equation, you should be able to fill in what it equals pretty easily. So I want you to push pause and on your board write the correct division equation for this part. It's division, so I start with the total. 14 divided by 7 equals 2. Okay, moving on to 21. You got to ask yourself, what do you multiply 7 by to get 21? And then I do want you to go ahead and write down the related division equation that would go with this multiplication equation as well. Push pause to do this. So I know 3 times 7 is going to give me 21. My division equation, I'm going to have 21 divided by 7 equals 3. Down here, our last number is 28. I want you to go ahead and do these two equations independently. Write one multiplication and one division equation on your board. And I want you to push pause to do that. So I know my multiplication equation is going to equal 28. And I know that 4 times 7 is 28. Over here on my division equation, I have 28 divided by 7. And it's going to give me 4. Okay, for the next part, you're going to go ahead and have your problem set ready. If you do not have this out and ready, please take that out. Push pause if you need to. I'm not going to go over this with you because this is what we just did in the concept development. First thing you need to do is skip count, and then this already has the the multiplication equation for you, and you just have to write in the division equation. The only thing that you see about these multiplication equations is they did not give you the answer. So, since all the division equations are going to start with the total, 7 times 6, it's just like you're putting your answer right here. And I know that 7 times 6 is 42, so I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Since it's a related equation, 42 divided by 7 is going to be 6. Notice that I'm working straight across here. I know that the 7 is right here, but it does not match this problem. Don't forget when you're working on this to draw a line from the fishbowl to the correct multiplication equation that it goes to. For example, my 7 right here, I know that 7 times 1 is 7, so I'm going to draw a line from here to here. You do not have to draw a line from the fishbowls to a division equation. You just need to draw a line from a fishbowl to a multiplication equation. So I want you to push pause, and I want you to do this part of the problem set. And when you're ready, push play so you can see the answers. So after 7, I know comes 14. After 21, I know comes 28. After 28, I know comes, counting by 7, 35. After 42, when I'm counting by 7s, comes 49. After 49, I'm counting by 7s, comes 56. And after 56 comes 63. You notice it does not go to 70, so you're not going to have a 7 times 10 or a 10 times 7. For 14, you should have drawn a line to 7 times 2. I'm not going to draw the lines, I'm just going to say it. For 21, you should have drawn a line to 7 times 3. For 28, you should have drawn a line to 7 times 4. For 35, you should have drawn a line to 7 times 5. 42 was 7 times 6. 49 is 7 times 7. And 56 is 7 times 8. So, the division equation that goes with 7 times 3, I know 7 times 3 is 21, so I'm going to put 21 right here. And 21 divided by 7 is going to give me 3. This equation, 7 times 8, I know gives me 56. And I know 56 divided by 7 is 8, because those are the two numbers in the equation, 7 and 8. So I have to have 7 and 8 in my division equation. 7 times 7 gives me 49. And I know 49 divided by 7 is 7. Moving on down, 7 times 1 I know gives me 7. And I know 7 divided by 7 is 1. I know that 7 times 5 gives me 35. So right here is going to be 35. And I know that 35 divided by 7 is 5. 7 times 9 is 63. And 63 divided by 7 is 9. 7 times 4 is 28. And I know that 28 divided by 7 is 4. And the last one, 7 times 2 is 14. And I know that 14 divided by 7 gives me 2. Moving on to the next part of the problem set. Number 2 says, complete the count by 7 sequence below. Then write a multiplication equation and a division equation to represent each blank you filled in. So, I want you to push pause and I want you to complete the count by up here at the top. by filling in these blanks, and remember you're counting by sevens. So I have 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, then comes 49, then comes 56, and then comes 63, and then 70. All you had to do was add 7 each time you skip counted. So I'm going to start and say that A is going to be 21. So I'm going to put that this multiplication equation equals 21, and I know that my division equation, the first number, is going to be 21. So make sure when you're going to B that you get 35. When you're at C, it's going to be 49. D is going to be 56. And E is going to be 70. So I want you to push pause, and I want you to complete these multiplication and division equations that match your count by. So 3 times 7 gave me 21. And I know that 21 divided by 7 was 3. My next number was 35. And I know that 5 times 7 gives me 35. And 35 divided by 7 is 5. The next number that I filled in the blank for was 49. And 49 goes right here. And I know that 7 times 7 is 49. So my division equation, 49 divided by 7, gives me 7. Next number that we filled in at the top was 56. And I know that 8 times 7 is 56. So for my division equation, I'm going to have 56 divided by 7 equals 8. And then the last number that we filled in was 70. This one's an easy one because we know that 10 times 7 is 70. So 70 divided by 7 is 10. Next part of the problem set, number 3 says, Abe says 3 times 7 equals 21 because 1 7 is 7 and 2 7s are 14 and 3 7s are 14 plus 6 plus 1, which equals 21. Why did Abe add 6 and 1 to 14 when he was counting by 7? You see a lot of numbers there, and I know that it looks confusing, but let's break this problem apart when we're looking at it. So he said when he's skip counting, he knows that 1 7 is 7. So I'm just going to put 7 there. And he knows that 2 7s, so I'm going to write 2 7s. He knows that those 2 7s are giving him 14. So here's 14. Oh, sorry, 14. So far he's got a 7 and he's got 14 because he's really doing 3 times 7. And if you notice right here, I've got 1, 2, 3 7s. But the way he added it was a little bit different. He did not say 7 plus 14. He took the 14, he kept it the same, but he added a 6 and then he added a 1 to get 21. So you got to ask yourself, why do you think he took the 7 and he broke it apart into a 6 and then into a 1? I want you to push pause and I want you to think about that for just a second and realize why he counted 14 plus 6 plus 1. Okay, some of you, if you know making tens, then you will understand this because I know that when I add 6 to 4, that gives me a 10. So if I'm adding a 6 to 14, that is going to give me 20. And if I have 20 and I bring down my plus 1 here, then it's going to be really easy to add those two numbers together to give me 21. So this right here tells me why he added a 6 and a 1 to 14. He did it because he was just using the making 10 strategy, and those numbers are easier to add together. If you weren't writing this down, and then these numbers over here and these numbers, please do that on your paper because I want you to understand why Abe did that and why it is good to make tens whenever you can. Number 4 says, Molly says she can count by 7 6 times to solve 7 times 6. James says he can count by 6 7 times to solve this problem. Who's right, and explain your answer. So you've got to ask yourself, what is 7 times 6? And then can you skip count by 7 6 times? And can you skip count by 6 7 times to get that answer? And whenever you are explaining your answer, I want to know what property does this relate to? Because we worked on a property like this a few lessons back, and we worked on it in Module 1. So I want you to first start by answering this question saying who is right, and then I want you to explain your answer and make sure you tell me what property you used. Push pause to do this. So Molly and James are both correct. They used the commutative property to find their answer. And remember, the commutative property always tells us that it doesn't matter what order the factors are in, it's still going to give you the same answer. And I want you to complete lesson 5 exit slip and bring it to me whenever you are finished.